Hey, this is Meredith Elliott Powell, and you know what time it is. It is 9 a.m. Eastern, Saturday morning. Time to talk about one of our favorite subjects, and that is sales. I'm hanging out here with my partner, my colleague, Mark Hunter. How you doing this morning, Mark?
I am doing great. Yeah, it's been a busy week. I know it's been a busy week for you. We're a couple minutes late, but hey, why don't we crank the show, shall we?
Let's do it.
Prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity is the foundation from which everything is built on.
You better understand value. But at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. It is a people business. It is an emotional business.
This is Sales Logic.
All right, welcome once again to Sales Logic, the show where we dive into the strategies, discuss the steps, everything that you need to know to be more effective at sales today. So before Mark tells you what we've got on tap for today, I want to tell you how the show works. Every week, we come to you 30 minutes or so talking about sales. We start off with a question from you, the audience. That's right. You get to be a part of the show simply by submitting your questions to saleslogicpodcast.com. Sits there at the bottom of the screen. So chime in at any time. We cover a hot topic. We suggest a book. And just so we make sure that you leave with return on investment, we do a lightning round, those strategies that you can implement immediately. So Mark, what is on tap for today?
I didn't realize the show's going 30 minutes now. Okay. Well, hey, we got a really good show. Topic we're going to be talking about how to create value your customers expect. And it's great to see we got people jumping in online already. Absolutely terrific. Love hearing from everybody out there. The question today comes from Herman in South Africa. He asks, all my customers want from me is a price quote on the best solution possible. They don't care about meeting with me. They just want an answer. And if I can't give them a cheap price, they'll go elsewhere. What should I do? Gee, that sounds like a question that could come from almost any sales, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to highlight what Jack said here. I don't know really a sales professional out there that knows more about value than Jack does, but says value is in the eye of the receiver, not the sender. Wow, really powerful. It's not what you perceive as value, it's what the customer perceives as value. And that's really where our big question needs to start today. If all people want from you is price, it is because they believe that price is the only option. You know, it's funny. So I was on site this week speaking in Phoenix, Arizona, and we were talking about value in the presentation that I was doing to a group of CEOs. And there's a little thing that I call the Paul Harvey method. Now, if anybody's old enough to remember Paul Harvey, he used to do this thing called the rest of the story. He would come on as a radio personality, tell a story, and hold the best parts for last. Well, interestingly enough, while I was playing golf out there at the Arizona Biltmore, Paul Harvey has a home out there, or had a home out there. So it's sort of apropos we were talking about this morning. That's where you need to begin. Do not wait for people to ask you what the value is. You work the value into the story. As a customer, you have to understand if I'm buying a widget, I assume all widgets are the same until the salesperson tells me the reason their widget is different and what I will gain from that widget.
Hey, without a doubt there, and you said something interesting, Phoenix, golf, Meridith. Yeah, those three words go together. So, to think that you're going to be in Phoenix without playing golf, no, that's not going to happen.
That's right.
It's really kind of interesting because there's a line that I love to use: in the absence of value, price is everything. And Herman, this is what's happening. You see, the customer perceives the value. Go back to what Jack's shared. Totally buy into that. In fact, I think it's almost one step further than perceive. It's what they believe, because it's really what they believe. And to them, they believe price is everything. Now, Herman, what does this say? This says that you haven't had the ability to have any kind of a conversation with them to really understand what is their definition of value. You see, all we hear right now from the customer, Herman, this is all you're hearing, is that the customer is saying price, price, price. But we don't know what they're basing that off of. And it's easy for us to jump in and say, hey, I want to share with you stuff, which I do, which you do. But I got to understand, where's the customer coming from? And Herman, I think that's one of the questions that you got to come back. They're looking for a fast quote. And you got to ask them, say, wow, what's happening on your end that you need this so fast? You got to get them speaking first before you can begin to lay out any kind of value proposition from your end.
Yeah. And Herman, we hear you. They're coming through. They just want a price quote. And you are saying they don't want to talk to me. But Mark is 100% right. Try to get them to talk to you. If they won't, and we've all been in that position, and you still want to quote the business, then quote it from the research you have done on the industry. This is a great line, and I got it from Ian Altman, the sales master himself, based out of Washington, D.C. But Ian always uses the line that says, based on others we work with in the industry, we understand these are your problems, these are your challenges, this is how we solve those, and this is what we bring to the table. See, it's back to my Paul Harvey method. You got to tell the rest of the story, whether they ask you or not. But I stole that line from Ian Altman, and I just love it. So even if they won't talk to you, still add the value, change the conversation, change their point of reference.
Full disclosure, I only remember Paul Harvey from being a little kid, going to the barber shop, sitting in the barber chair, and they would have Paul Harvey on the radio. So that is my only reference to Paul Harvey. Okay. We just got to get that out on the table. Anyway, see, here's something else that is very interesting. What Ian is talking about. It's what I call a proof statement, because what Ian shared with you, and you in turn shared with the audience, is this whole idea that based on other work we've done, and again, what you're saying is that we've seen this before. And what does this do? It allows the customer now see you as an expert. They see you as somebody who is bringing you some expertise. Now, does that line in and of itself always change their mind? Say, oh, wow, let me sit down for an hour and listen to you share. No, but if I just begin to get them thinking, begin to get them pondering. Because here's the whole thing. If all they're coming to me for is a quote, they really don't need me.
Yeah.
They can do that on the internet. And oh, by the way, if a customer is buying from me on price, I don't want them. Because the customer who buys from me on price is going to leave me on price. Because somebody else is going to come along a little bit cheaper and boom, business is gone. So I don't want those people.
Boom, drop the mic. Customer who chooses me on price is gonna leave me on price. So true. I always say that if you're losing on price, it's one of two reasons. Number one, you chose the wrong target market. Go back to your target market. Go back to your ideal customer. Get more clear on what it takes to attract more people that are already paying you money. What do those people care about? What's important to them? The second is it's because price is all you're selling. And I see it all the time. I don't know what it is about us as salespeople, but far too often we just sell all day long on price rather than changing the conversation. I personally think it is a myth in an uncertain economy. In a challenging economy, I think it is actually easier to get people to pay more because they're more concerned about the value. But that is the power of the salesperson, right? Like Mark is so right. I can buy it online and just do the price. But the reason you're there as a sales professional is to help people understand what they are paying for. So Herman, maybe your team needs to back up and understand why your price is a little bit higher and exactly what it is they're selling.
There's so much to be said there. There's so much, and you have to stop and ask yourself this question. Why did the customer call me? And what do they know about me beforehand? Now, what's very interesting is value perception also has a level of marketing in it. because clearly what happened was this customer chose to call you. Well, maybe they've bought from you before, okay? Because maybe you've sold to them on low price. Maybe they just were out on the internet real quick and, oh, you look like a cheap place, so they'll call you. You really have to understand. It goes back to Jack's comment about perception, because not only does the customer have a perception of value, the customer has a perception of you. And what is the perception? And this goes back to that whole line, that proof statement, that proof comment. You have to be able to demonstrate to them that you're one of the experts that can help them craft a better solution. Anyway, we should probably kind of migrate over to the topic. We're talking about it now. How do we create value your customers expect? And that really is something, if you think about it, because again, it's irrelevant what we say. It's what the customer believes.
Yeah, I love this comment here from Yoram. He said in his surveys, he found that people are willing to pay 29.6%, in essence 30%, if they have a trustworthy salesperson. Now, talk about adding value. I mean, if you're trustworthy, it's value, because let's craft what trustworthy really means. It means I've got your back. I'll take care of you. You go ahead and run your business. And as the products and services come available that are going to be of value to you, that are going to help you grow your business or save money or give you peace of mind, I'm going to be proactive with those, with those pieces. So value comes from your research you understand in the industry and the level and the depth of questions you ask the customers. You have to understand where the pain is so you can solve that problem. And just one more comment I want to make on this. This is not the pain that you believe the customer has. It is the pain they believe they have. Now, the pain you're identifying may be what you ultimately need to solve, but whatever their urgent need is, that's where you need to focus.
Wow, you just said something so powerful there, because it really is about understanding where the customer's coming from. And this is where so many salespeople go sideways. So many salespeople believe that what they believe is what the customer's believing. Totally, totally false. And you truly have to take the time to understand. And again, it goes back to something else you said. You've really got to understand your customer. And too many times, and going back to the question from Herman, I'm going to question Herman. Is this customer really in your ICP, your ideal customer profile? Are they really in your sweet spot? Because here's the whole thing. If they are in your sweet spot, Herman, I'd say this, you need to get a different sweet spot, because you're dealing with just price people. Here's the challenge salespeople have to get over. We believe that the customer in front of us is the only customer out there.
Mm-hmm.
And when we have that attitude, it's amazing how we will roll over and play dead and give them anything they want. Because just because the customer asks, this is where we have to be the parent-child. Just because the child asks for something doesn't mean the parent gives it to them. Same thing in a salesperson-customer relationship. The customer may ask, but yeah, I want to answer the question, but hey, I've got to give you some content. I've got to ask you a question to be able to help you understand. I create value when you see me and my company in a different light.
Yeah, I love what Mark has written here. I think that with the proliferation of discounts we see in the retail world, customers are going to either expect the same year or at least ask for one. Absolutely. Mark is 100% right. But that is why you, as the sales professional, need to change the conversation. You need to sell from a place of power rather than a place of need. What Mark Hunter just said about the fact that when we perceive that the customer in front of us is the only customer, we roll over and play dead. But you have to understand that when you are saying yes to a prospect or a customer, you are saying no to a whole slew of other people. There's only enough time. So if you want to sell value, get that ICP right. Know the customers who care about value. Then you still have to sell it. Because what Mark is saying here is even though customers expect it, we can still change the conversation. Our chat is so hot today. I love
it's amazing because there's so many other chat comments.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it really is an engaging topic because you really stop and think about that. It comes back to your mindset. And do you view your customers as coming from a point of scarcity or abundance. If you believe it's scarcity, you believe that that customer in front of you is the only customer, and somehow I got to close that deal. If you view it from abundance, you understand that there's a tremendous number of customers out there that I can go find and go work with. And that changes the whole way you listen. Because now what you do is you're listening, and I'm going to use this term. I sell to determine who I want to sell to. Now think about that. I sell. That selling is the conversation. It's the dialogue. But I'm determining whether or not I want to sell to you. Because again, if you don't fit my pattern, I'm not going to choose to sell to you. And I think this is going back to the question that we teed the show up with today. I think this is what that gentleman is dealing with, because you're not playing in the right area. You have to find different customers, because when we create value, again, I can spin my wheels trying to create value for every, I don't know what, 4.3 billion people on the face of the earth. I'm never going to be successful.
Yeah. No.
But if I focus in on creating value for 100 people, I can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Patrick, you and Mark Hunter are so aligned here. If you're not aligned with your customer, you are dead meat. And I love what Urim said here, is that I care more about the value you get than the money I take from you. Here's the irony in that. If you care more about the value you give, the more money and the more product you are going to take. And the reason that you're going to get is because the reason is you're about the right things. And when you are about adding value, people will pay money for that. And Patrick said you create value if you are creating a product that is not available to all clients. Scarcity creates instant value. And, I'm going to add a little to that, is that for the most part, the products that we sell are commodities, pretty much. So it's what you're bringing to the table as the salesperson that is creating the value. But going back to the question, Herman, I believe that you're allowing the prospect or a customer to control the conversation. Take control of the conversation back.
There's a basic economics principle. Maximum revenue does not occur at maximum supply. Maximum revenue occurs at maximum supply minus Y, whatever that is. And that's a concept that we as salespeople have to understand. Now, how do we create value? I want to spin this around a little bit, because we create value even before the customer reaches out to us. And this is what our marketing message is. This is what our website is. This is what our storefront is. This is what the industry is saying about us. This is who we are. And it's amazing, but we talk about perception. We kind of teed that word up very early in terms of value as a perception, what the customer believes. They have drawn perceptions as to who we are. Now, people can go out to the internet and look up Meridith, Elliott, Powell, and they can look up Mark Hunter, and they see different things, and they can draw different conclusions. And that's okay, because again, we are reaching audiences, and we have this perception model that we want people to believe. So when we talk about creating value, it begins even before the sale begins.
Yeah, I love this comment here from Larry Levine. When you combine your company values, the salesperson's values, and your client's value, it creates prosperity. It's such a win. It's such a win for everybody. When you create value, the reason it takes price off the table is because you've either made the customer money, you've saved them money, or you've given them peace of mind. You've done things that move their business forward. And then it becomes, they're not paying for something, they're investing in something that's moving the business forward.
Wow, you just hit on another key word, and that is the shifting of the mindset, that we're not selling. Customers aren't buying. We're asking them to invest. Mm-hmm. And when the value exceeds the level of investment, there is an ROI.
Yes.
So stop and think about that for a moment. If the customer is demanding a lower price, it's because they have not seen enough value. Increase the value, and you can increase the price. So again, it comes back to what is that dialogue that we're having. And I'll tell you what, it's amazing. The chat, we're only getting up on the screen about a third of the comments.
It's so awesome.
I mean, this is so, hey, please excuse us if you posted in the chat and it's not appearing. So we can only get through so many of them. But this is all about, and think about that. Why did you tune into the show? If you're watching this live this morning, why did you tune in? Because the value you're getting is exceeding the time that you have. So think about that. Again, it's value must exceed the investment we're asking the customer to make, whether it be time, money, or whatever.
Yeah, I love, Jack, I'm going to take this to the stage and I'm going to quote you on it. Value is a verb. Make it an action word. It's got to be customized. And he's so right. If you do it in a selfless way, the buyer wins, and you ultimately win as a seller. Years ago, I got a call from a client who was just getting hammered on price. His salespeople had told him that he had to drop the price again, and he called because he was at margin. If he lowered his price anymore, he would be going backwards. And I simply asked him, I said, well, do you have customers right now who are paying the price? And he said, yes. And I said, well, why are they paying? I mean, are they just stupid when they could get it from a competitor for free? And he said, well, I don't know. And we simply went out and asked customers why they were paying the price. And what we found was they loved the fact that he had been in business 20 years. All of his competitors were selling every 2 to 3 years. All of his competitors were in third worlds, and he sold to very small companies who wanted to interact with a person and wanted the same hour alignment that they had. And they loved the fact that he would come on site and that all their work was customized. And we just simply worked that into the sales strategy, worked that into the sales conversation, did a better job of selecting the right target. So you need to talk to your customers, Herman, and figure out those people who do business with you. Why do they do business with you? Choose your target better and then align that in there.
See, that comes back to something very interesting. When we hear customers barking about low price, that's what we become obsessed with.
Yeah.
And that in turn is where our attention goes. And like this customer that was talking to you, they were totally forgetting about all their other customers that were paying full price. It goes back to that adage, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Yeah, it sure does. And we cannot allow a price. And I hear this a lot. I hear this a lot from customers. Well, gee, we've had a couple people reject us because our fee was too high. Our price was too high. Maybe we should lower it. Just because you hear that a couple times doesn't mean anything at all. You want to go back and ask yourself, what's the value proposition? Which comes back to something else. I'm going to challenge every salesperson watching this, every salesperson listening to this. Have you really done an assessment as to the value customers get from working with you? Great. Go back and do that exercise. Talk to your customers. One of the things that I tell salespeople to do, if you're like, I don't know what to do, pick up the phone, call one of your existing customers, let them love on you as to why they like doing business with you. And it's amazing what you'll hear. And it's amazing then that you can, wait a minute, here's how I can create more value for future customers.
Yeah. And plus it's a great way to remind customers because they remind themselves what they gain from you. I want to respond here to what Patrick wrote. The corporate world, too many salespeople are forced to sell to customers on the edge of their prime profile, and it creates discounts, which creates the price issue. Here I want to say that I worked corporate for years, and corporate marketing and sales divisions will try to get you as the individual salesperson to do things. Okay. But at the end of the day, as long as you hit your numbers, nobody cares what you're doing. So if you feel forced to call on the wrong customer, don't do it. Go back and do what you know is going to get the numbers. Because if you get the numbers, corporate will get off your back all day long.
Well, that goes back to the adage that we see this in so many companies where come those last 2 weeks of the quarter, 3 weeks of the quarter, it's make a deal time. Hey, let's because again, what happens is we start dropping price because again, what happens is the customer, in fact, we should probably do a whole show on that one, how to avoid that quarter end discount. But anyway,
I love that.
Hey, we've got a great comments keep coming in. Patrick, continue. I love this. Love all of the comments coming in, but we got to keep moving along here because you extended the show to 30 minutes. And we're going to be bumping up on that pretty soon here. But hey, the book, Colleen Francis, our good friend out of Canada. Well, Canada and Florida. Okay, she spends half her time in Florida. She spends half her time in Ottawa. Colleen, I hope you're listening this morning, but your new book, Right on the Money, New Principles for Bold Growth. I don't know if you've had a chance to read it. It literally just came out.
I just ordered it.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, she breaks down in there. She really is. This is new principles. She really breaks down a ton of new concepts, not ideas, but proven strategies that salespeople are using in this COVID, post-COVID world. So really encourage you to pick up the book. It literally just came out this week. And she is incredibly brilliant. And follow her strategies because she'll take you to the money. So the book is Right on the Money, New Principles for Bold Growth by Colleen Francis. Okay, lightning round.
Let's do it.
Top 10 ways to create real value with your customer. You're on the clock.
All right. Number one, start with really deep questions to get at the pain point.
Last week you started with number 10. Now you start with number 1. Come on, make up your mind. No, it's okay. Okay, number 2.
Well, you were rough on me today.
I'm sorry. Hey, I haven't had enough coffee. Okay. Excuse me. Or no, maybe I've had too much coffee. Oh no. We're having an online disagreement right now. Now I totally lost my train of thought. Top 10 ways to create real value with your customer. Give a proof statement. We've seen this in other companies we've worked with. We've helped others just like this.
Number 3, I would say that you need to provide some case studies. Show other companies that you've worked with through story of how you've made a difference for them.
Number 4, before you begin talking at all, ask the customer what they believe value is to them in terms of what they're looking for.
Number 5, I would say that you need to tell the rest of the story. You need to do the Paul Harvey. You need to show the value, what they're going to gain and the risk they'll have if they don't do business with you, whether they ask you or not.
Number 6, create a relationship with them. It is never a one-off transaction. It is a relationship. So you might actually lose the sale right now, but you're going to stay in touch with them. You're going to continue to provide them insights, and that will create real value with them, and they'll come back and do business with you later on.
Yeah. Do a starter. Sometimes the people don't know enough about you and are a little bit nervous and that the project is too big at the beginning. So don't be afraid to do a smaller portion. Cut your project up into thirds and say, let's try this piece out first. Let me show you what we can do. And then we'll talk about the rest of the project.
Right. Your reputation arrives before you do. What does this mean? What is social media saying about you? What is the internet saying about you? What's your website say? Because again, customers draw their perception about you even before they have a conversation with you.
I'm going to say number 9 is solve urgent need. When you go in and you talk to a customer, they have issues and challenges that are on their mind. Maybe they have something to do with your business. Maybe they don't have anything to do with your business, but listen first, because when you listen first, number 1, customers will tell you exactly what the value is. But more importantly, when you listen first, you send a message that says, this relationship will always be more about you than it will be about me. And I would say that creates trust, which creates value.
Number 10. That was very good. Number 10. See, I'm not throwing you.
I feel like you're making up for stuff.
Oh, jeez. Okay. Number 10. Number 10. Hey, there are price customers out there that you don't want to deal with. Remember, sometimes the most profitable deal you ever make is the one you don't get. If you have a customer that is totally fixated on price and they won't change, go find yourself different customers. So with that, I bet we better close this down before I get in trouble from Meridith. Thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. If something we've said has earned you a single dollar, consider telling a friend about our show. It's how we grow, really to help you grow. I'm Mark Hunter.
And I'm Meridith Elliott Powell.
Remember, when you sell with confidence and integrity,
uncertainty suddenly becomes your competitive advantage.
And the sale becomes logical. And what a great audience this morning. This has been a kick, hasn't it?
What an awesome audience. I mean, thank you for adding value, so much value to our show. We are truly grateful for you. So we will see you back here this time next week. Please, if you have questions, you have comments, please go out to saleslogicpodcast.com. You can always hear the show again, submit your questions. And either way, I hope you have an amazing week. Really close a lot of deals. Mark and I hope you make a lot of money this week, make a lot of customers happy, and we'll see you back here next week for another episode of Sales Logic.